Hey, Jess.
Hello, George and everyone.
Yeah. So today is Sunday, February the 11th. I guess for everyone else, it's Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, that whole thing's going on today, huh?
Yeah. But for today, for us, it's Recovery Ride Day. And we're at Oceanside Harbor. So we'll take a quick look around, and we rode here. It's about 18 or so miles to get here, 19 miles, I think. And it's a recovery ride for us. Why?
Because yesterday we rode a 200K Brevet.
Yep.
For those of you who only do miles speak, it's 125 miles.
Yes.
And the course had 8,000 feet of climbing. So
Yes.
my legs are tired. So we need a recovery day and just a day to be able to goof off on our bikes.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about that course is it's very front loaded. I mean, we did like almost 7,000 feet in the first, or like 6,500 in the first 68 miles. I mean, literally, it is front loaded. Hello, everyone. So, what I
just want
thought.
to show what's in your little container
Oh,
there.
Yeah, we have a chocolate croissant that I'm about
that
to
looks so yummy.
start eating.
And I know you're going to share that with your sweet girlfriend.
Yes. So anyway, what I thought we would do today in a very loose format is do a quick debrief on our ride yesterday. Now, yesterday was your second 200K, and the first one, drizzly rain, and I just didn't want to ride in the rain again yesterday, but it turned out to be fine.
Oh my gosh,
So,
we got so lucky because it rained
we got
like
this weather yesterday.
crazy all week long, and we were just watching the weather like hawks. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was flooding everywhere, and I'm sure you can find a lot of Instagram videos of how bad the storms were. Los Angeles County was hammered. Houses were falling from the hillsides. San Diego was the same kind of thing. Downtown videos, I mean, just cars going down like, I don't know, being swept away. But we got lucky. We got this weather yesterday. Just really windy most of the course. And but we got a little bit of payback on the last 25 miles, because on the last 25 miles was south on PCH, Pacific Coast Highway, and that is usually, the prevailing winds is usually a tailwind. So let's start with the bikes real quick. We both rode our Richies yesterday, and we this is actually, so Jess, you've done both the brevets on the Ritchey. And what's your take on this so far?
I love my Richie.
Yeah.
That's my take.
That's your take.
And actually, since you built it for me, I haven't been out on the road on any other bike. Well, I guess maybe because my other bikes are decommissioned, but also just because I've never had a steel bike, and right now it still feels really new to me, and so I just can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, I feel like it's very solid, and without sounding too hokey, you feel like a little more connection with the ground and the road. Mm-hmm. As I said before, a long time ago in a video, when you let me test ride it, one of your Richies for a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a vibrational calming, like the way the metal transmits energy through to your body. It just seems like it's really softened. So yeah, I had no problem spending 8+ hours.
8+ hours, yeah.
All day on it. The only issues I had, of course, I told you, George, I have a bum left shoulder right now with some muscle pain in my left side of my neck, and that's all sort of a consequence of breaking my clavicle last year when a truck passed me a little too closely and knocked me off my bike.
Yeah.
And there were some injuries, but
Yeah. So yeah, it's that's just an injury that unfortunately you never had any issues with. But so let's move on to, this was the first time riding the Jet Series 46 millimeter deep wheels. So that's your bike with the 46, and I rode the 60s. What were your impressions about that?
I could tell because there were a few long sections of the Brevet course that were incredibly windy. And we actually haven't talked about this until just now, but
I know I was thinking about it all day, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna save that so that it's spontaneous and candid.
so I hadn't really thought about. I know you mentioned a few weeks ago that you were going to swap in a little bit of deep section wheels for the event, and I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. Please just put my bike, make it rideable, and I will ride whatever.
Right.
So yesterday when we were, I don't remember the name of the road, but there was a section. I think it was out in the Coos or Lilac area, somewhere out there. We started descending, and there was a gust of wind or two. And I you get that feeling that you're just like, whoa, going over here. And you're like,
yeah, you're getting pushed around a little bit.
And it caught me by surprise. And it wasn't until that point that I remembered, oh yeah, that's right, I'm riding deep section wheels today.
Yeah.
And then of course the return, the bike path, and well, the bike path was just, as George knows, I was just hiding.
Yeah.
We tried to swap. I tried to take little pulls every now and then. Every 2/10 of a mile, we would do the old elbow flick, and and after about 6 or 7 rotations, I decided to just sit back and let George do all the work.
Yeah, and the bike path. So just to give some perspective, the bike path heads literally due west. West in the afternoon, prevailing winds is typically a headwind, and we were 100 miles in, or 160K, and 8,000 feet into the event already. So now we're gonna switch camera angles, make sure I don't have any
chocolate
croissants so we just talked about rim choice, and the reason I chose the deeper section wheels, even though we always ride the Het Ardennes really shallow wheels, is because there was going to be so much flat towards the end of the ride. So like the last 40-ish miles, you're heading west fairly flat into a headwind, and then as you head south for another 25 or so miles, that's also fairly flat. So why not use some aero wheels while you can? Now, the other thing is I shot a video about 32 tires. What'd you think about the 32 tires? Now, the concept behind this was I was expecting a lot of rain runoff, and I was expecting a lot of dirt and rocks and stuff. So I wanted to go with lower pressures. Am I even in the shot? Because it looks like it's funny.
I zoomed out.
Yeah. So the dirt, rock, and all this stuff, if we got a puncture, I wanted us to be on really low tire pressure, because rain and water would wash away the sealant. So I wanted us to be on like 60 psi. So I brought up the tire width up to 32. There is another video, I'll link that in the description. But what was your take on that? Because this was probably the first time you were riding 32 tires, probably ever.
Well, first of all, don't let our croissant blow away.
Yeah.
There's still some left.
Yeah.
So the 32 tires, it was exactly like the GIF that you had texted me 2 days prior. There was a little text George sent me on my phone. It was of a monster truck. And George said, our monster truck tires are ready. So,
And let's put things in perspective. I was riding 25s until probably 2 years ago, and 28s probably, 2 years ago. And these 32s, I mean, they looked monster truck in relation. Yeah, go on.
that's what it felt like. So I wouldn't have been able to just like look at a bike and be like, oh yeah, those are 32s. I look at a bike and I'm like, oh, those are tires. They could be little tires or like kind of big, but I don't know what size just by looking. Anyway, when I got on the bike and I started pedaling, I just thought of your meme, monster truck tires. I'm like, this is what this feels like. It feels like I can roll over anything with these tires. It was awesome. I liked them. I don't know if they made me slow or fast. It doesn't really matter because I think I'm kind of slow right now. So either way, it doesn't matter. But I had a lot of fun riding them.
Yeah. Well, I think we were I think we were 4th and 5th out of 30 riders. So you're not that slow. So there was...
And they were mostly boys.
Yeah, they were. The top 3 were boys, and then you were the first female. So there was...
Because they lump us all together.
Yeah. So there was Zach, Patrick, and Jacek. So we were 4th and 5th riders in. So, we were
not too shabby.
Yeah, we're like 8:10, 8:12 total time. So sub 8 rolling time. It's really hard to get. It's really hard to get a low total time on this course because the first part of it.
I'm going to zoom back.
Yeah, no, because the course has a lot of traffic lights at the front end and then has a lot of traffic on the back end. So you're just like stopping. And I even mentioned this yesterday that so to get an R60 time on this course, it's an 8:04, 8 hours 4 minutes. Total time that you're allowed on a 200K is 13:30. So R60 means 60% of the allotted time. But 8:04 time is a standardized time across the entire country, world, whatever. So if you live in a flat place, 8:04 for a 200K is more than doable. You live in a place like where we live, where 8,500 feet of climbing, 2,700 meters of climbing. Yeah, it's not that easy to stay, to get in under 8:04. So most people were finishing way after 8:04, and I think maybe just the top 3 came in 8:04, and then the rest of us were after that. And like I said, I think we were 8:12. Okay, so
we were that close.
We were that close. We got lost like twice in the last like 3 miles.
I didn't look and I didn't ask, but I thought for sure we were probably at like 8:45.
No, babe.
8:12. We were so close.
Yeah, we'll see when the final results come out because,
next time.
Yeah, based on when they clocked us in and all that stuff. And we didn't leave at exactly 7. We left at 7:02 or 3, so I don't know what time they clocked us at. But I know that we were about 2 to 3 miles from the finish. We got lost twice, and we had like 9 minutes left. So I mean, it was just super, super close.
Down to the wire.
Yeah, we got lost on the University of San Diego, UCSD. Campus.
We took a wrong turn, or we missed a turn. We weren't really
Oh my
lost.
God! So yeah, that brings up another point. The route was loaded onto Ride with GPS, and the Ride with GPS for Garmin has changed the way you load up files. So you used to have to hardwire your Garmin into your laptop, desktop version, transfer the file from folder to folder and all this stuff. The beauty of Wahoo was that all you had to ever do was pin the file in Ride with GPS, and then you would just resync your phone and your Wahoo device, and there it would just pop up. So it was all wireless. Well, apparently they've just redone this for Garmin on Ride with GPS. I did the whole thing the way they did it. I saw it on Thursday night on my Garmin GPS, but Saturday morning as I'm getting ready to start the ride, no file, no course found. And it's 125 miles. Most of it, front end and back end, is where all the navigation is. In the middle of it, it's all just our popular climbs. Rice Canyon, Cooser Canyon, Lilac, Circle R. So most of that I knew, but then Jesse had to be...
Wait, what did I call it? I had a name for it. I think I called it the Reluctant Navigator.
The Reluctant Navigator.
Because I'm super new at using my computer to get the cues and the turns and everything, and we went into this totally assuming that George was going to be doing all I had to do was just mindless pedaling. Suck wheel. And now all of a sudden it's like, that there's like, at the moment that we realized George wasn't going to have a route, it's like you hear that wah wah. Oh no. And so all of a sudden my role became a lot more important. And anyway, I feel like I rose to the
you did great.
challenge. It was a little learning curve at the beginning.
Yeah,
but
one of the times we got lost, like I said, it was the last 3 miles to the finish, was we had to turn right on Gilman, but there was no street signs anywhere. Remember, on the campus?
There were street signs,
but not at that turn.
There was one on the opposite side of the road,
didn't say
but
Gilman.
It didn't say Gilman.
Exactly, it didn't say
so
Gilman.
it's one of those streets where, okay, over there it's got some name, but over here it's got another name, which probably was Gilman, but there wasn't a sign over here, so there was some okay, we only have 10 seconds to figure this out, and we made
now it was still broad daylight for us, so imagine all those folks that came in.
Oh yeah.
Because sunset yesterday was 5:27 p.m. So anyone that was, let's see, that's 10 hours. Anyone past 10 hours would have been navigating through that.
Well, I would hope that being a college campus, that UCSD is lit up like a stadium at night.
For safety.
So hopefully they didn't have crazy hard problems, but in that broad daylight, it's hard to get through there. It seems like there's always these little secret chutes and back alleyways.
Yeah. Well, and that's what the organizer said. Make sure you follow the route exactly, because we're going to look at your Strava file. All right, so let's transition from that to nutrition. Tell me about your nutrition yesterday.
Okay, so I had spent 2 days before, I worked out my nutrition for the event. I was going to carry all of my nutrition in my water.
Yes.
For the whole race.
Yes.
So I had
and there's going to be someone who's going to bitch down at the bottom. So these are events, they're not races. But if you're in that front lead group, people are racing.
Yeah, I mean, it's very healthy competition.
Yes.
From a certain tier up.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I had 2 bottles and a dromedary bag.
Yeah.
With 3-point harness that I really liked.
So we're using the USWE, USWE, with the No Dancing Monkeys harness, and it's a 2-liter capacity. Go.
That's great. Okay, so in each of my 2 water bottles, I had 540 calories.
Okay.
Right. So that was 1,100 calories, let's just say.
Let's
and
round
then
up,
in my dromedary bag, there were, in 2 liters of water is what the bag holds, I had another 1,000 calories.
Right.
So let's just call it 2,100 calories in my water.
Yep.
And I was figuring 250 calories an hour, assuming 8 hours of ride time.
Yes.
So that covered my estimated caloric needs.
Yep.
And then also, I was kind of worried that I would feel hungry in my belly. I had said to George, well, do you think it's going to be enough just to have all my nutrition in my bottles? So I grabbed a couple of snacks and stuffed them in my pocket just in case.
Yep.
And I ended up not even touching those the whole time.
So
we were eating them on the car ride home.
Yeah. So you went full liquid for 8+ hours.
Full liquid. The only exception was at the mandatory check-in in Rainbow.
Yeah.
The organizer had these special, I wish we had a picture, these rice treats that he made, and they were to commemorate Chinese New Year. It's the Year of the Dragon, by the way.
The Year of the Dragon, yes, yep.
So I couldn't pass those up. George and I each split one was savory, a savory rice treat, and the other was a sweet one. So we cut them in half so we each could sample both of them wrapped in a cool little lotus leaf. Oh, it was good.
Yeah, that was cool.
So that's pretty much the only
very authentic.
Solid,
very
super
authentic. Yeah, homemade.
The only solid food I had. So,
but it basically was probably 50 calories of the whole day. Yeah. Probably.
So anyway, it's an interesting strategy. I mean, there are pros and cons. The con is if you're drinking liquid constantly, well, it's got to go somewhere. I mean, your bladder can only hold so much.
Yeah.
And so I did have to take 2 mandatory, just okay, I'm this is it right now. Got to find a place, you hold it as long as you can, and then you just get to a point where you're well, there's more on the way, so where's it going to go? We have to make room. So for me, it was a good strategy, but I mean, I knew ahead of time that it was going to necessitate a couple more comfort stops. So I was dressed in a way that I could just
you
do
had
the very
drop tail
quick
type bibs, and we talked about that as part of our equipment choices. Just make sure you have.
So that was my nutrition strategy.
Make sure you have bibs to drop.
Do you want to talk about your nutrition strategy?
Yeah.
Let me get that from you.
So, as many of you know, and I have not been marketing it extensively, but as many of you know, I've launched my own nutrition line, and I was hoping Jess would mention it, but I'll plug it. So I used my nutrition product called REV Energy, and it's a carbohydrate fuel, only carbohydrates, so no electrolytes, no protein, no fat, no amino acids, nothing but carbs. And the beauty of this product is that it doesn't have any flavor, so you can add it to anything else. You can add stuff to it. So I used, I like Tailwind, but it's an electrolyte drink. Let's just say that. So I had Tailwind, but the majority of my calories came from my energy, my REV Energy carbohydrate fuel. And then I also had a few gels and a few Cliff Blocks. Now the reason I had those was because when I would summit a climb, and I also had a USWE 2-liter pack on my back. The whole idea was to be self-contained for the whole 200K, and I was self-contained. I didn't really need any calories. I actually came home with calories, but there's a concept I've talked about before where I've said keep your receipts, and what this means is any packaged nutrition item that you use, keep that wrapper. Don't throw it away. Don't throw it in any of the trash cans anytime that you make a stop somewhere to refuel. Keep it, because then when you get home, you add it all up. Now you can get really anal about this and be like, okay, I took in this many calories, and then I took in this much sodium from, let's say gels or whatever else you're taking, and this much potassium, so you know how much electrolytes you've also taken. But I usually just lump it all and say, okay, how many calories and how many grams of carbs? So I did the math, 8 hours of pedal time. So I had 2,800 calories, and it came out to 87.5 grams of carbs per hour. Now that was basically on target. I wanted to be close to 3,000 calories for 8 hours, and I also wanted to be at about 90 grams of carbs per hour. So super close. I did come home with some extra fluid in my Usui hydration pack, but that's fine. It's better to it's better to have it and not need it than to be like falling short. Jess, you came home with some too as well. So we had plenty of calories with us. We didn't stop at any stores. We didn't buy anything along the way. We didn't even refill our waters along the way. So we did 8 hours of riding on basically, well, not even 4 bottles, because we came home with fluid still in our hydration pack. So I think nutrition-wise, I was perfect. I never felt that I was fading. How did you feel?
I felt great nutrition-wise. I didn't.
Like, did you ever feel a fade or something coming on? Or did you feel like, oh my God, I'm so hungry? And
Never felt a fade.
Yeah.
I was fatigued just because
Yeah,
my
you're
legs,
fatigued.
I'm not used to doing
Yeah.
these types
Yeah.
of events. So my legs were tired and I was tired. But it wasn't because I wasn't eating. I had to keep reminding myself constantly, okay, drink. And actually, for the first couple hours, the way I did it in my head is I was like, okay, I know there's like about 500 calories in each water bottle.
yes.
So at the end of 2 hours, I need to have completely consumed 1 water bottle. And
I kept calling out the number of hours.
Yeah, yes.
I kept saying,
and that
hey,
was very helpful.
babe, we're 1 hour in. How you doing?
Right. So at the end of 2 hours, I actually was a little ahead of pace
Yeah.
as far as so I love eating. What can I say?
Yeah, no,
I'm like a human garbage disposal.
Well,
I just eat.
Yes, but you know what, babe? For a lot of people, they struggle taking nutrition in on a bike, and that's definitely an asset to you to be able to take in calories while riding.
Well, as I said, with me, the problem isn't like consuming them. It's that physical action of getting the calories from my hand into my mouth where I can because I'm riding, I can't ride no-handed. Like George could eat like a 5-course steak dinner. He sits up, with his little knife and fork. He's up there, do. I can't do that, so I'm a lot more limited.
If I knew how to juggle, I probably could juggle while riding. I just don't know how to juggle.
So anyway, that's the big limiting factor for me is the physical nature of transporting the food from there into my mouth.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, did you feel like in any way that the hydration pack aided in your calorie intake? Because I found while riding with one that it does. I mean, I just pull the little hose off the clip, put it in my mouth, and keep riding.
I loved it, and I would suck on that thing all day.
Yeah.
But again, the caveat is there is an input and there is an output.
Yeah.
So while I've got my little hose with the calories in it, I could see George in front of me reaching in his pockets, getting his bars, getting his gummies, and I was sort of envious. I'm like, that's the way to do it. You're eating the solid food. You don't need to drink a whole bottle full of water. You got your calories right there. So I don't know, different kind of strategy.
Yeah, well, I've trained my body over the years to just go full liquid, and I know you mentioned bars just because that's something people. It's just a reflex that people mention, but I didn't have any bars. All I had was gels and Cliff Blocks, so no solids. It was all liquids.
It was just like a generic term.
Exactly, that's what I thought.
To imply that it was your pockets were full of prepackaged.
They were full of
food.
they were full of extra stuff, but they weren't part of my nutrition plan. Everything was actually in my bottles. I did want to cover one thing because I think it's important to mention. Like, for example, I mean, that's my mileage for the year. It's like 1,000 something just really low thousand number, and then 91,000 feet of climbing. But Jess is like half of that, and you just ripped off a 200K like it was nobody's business.
I'm stubborn.
Yeah, I guess so. So we've done equipment, we've done tires, bike, nutrition. Pacing was tough at the beginning because, God, these people were just hammering off the front at the very beginning. And I'm like, you guys are sprinting from light to light to light. We're going to get all of these red lights going through campus. This is slow your roll. Because the real event doesn't start until all the climbing starts in like the middle portion of the event. But anyway, so I'm sure that was hard for you. But at one point, we were the three off the front. That guy, Zach, and us two.
As you know, the hardest part for me about the red light, and now you have to, the light turns from red to green, is now I got to get my shoes clipped in, and my left foot just isn't, for some reason, I always have trouble getting that left foot in. Well, not always. I've gotten a lot better over the last year and a half, but I still, out of every out of every 10 attempts, I will succeed at 7 of them.
Yeah.
So it's just missing that clip.
Yeah. So gearing probably is a non-issue. Anything? Oh, okay. So let's do this as well. No flats, no mechanicals, no drop chains, nothing. It was just as far as the bikes go, everything went well as far as that goes.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Not a single drop chain. Woo-hoo.
Not a single drop chain.
Someone must be getting a little better at shifting.
Yes, someone must be getting a lot better at shifting. Additionally, you came off of a SRAM red group set, and SRAM front derailleurs are terrible. SRAM componentry is pretty much terrible, which is why they've been trying to get rid of that front derailleur forever. Because they don't know how to make a front derailleur that shifts well. So that's going to offend some folks. Sorry, but I'm a mechanic. I see it all the time. Shimano Durace just works. So we brought lights. We brought stuff we didn't need, but you never know. I mean, you could break a spoke. You could have all kinds of stuff. That's why the time limit is so generous on these brevets. So 13 and a half hours to do a 200K, you're thinking, oh, that's like 10 miles per hour average speed, just rough estimate. But the thing is, I've had issues on a brevet where, you break a chain and, your link doesn't work, or I just broken spokes.
Your GPS route doesn't download.
And you get lost big time. Yeah, if you do enough long distance riding, you know that you have to plan for every eventuality. I had a frame pump with my Silka frame pump, and just in case, I had, of course, my Dyna plug, which I keep handy. Oh, I've already taken it out of my pocket. There's just so many things that can go wrong that you want to make sure you're prepared for anything. And that usually means when you're going down the road and people see you, you've got so much stuff. And they're like, especially if it's someone going out for a 30 miler, your pockets are full of food, but you got to pack, or you got to be self-contained or self-sufficient. Any last thoughts?
I was a little bummed that we didn't make our 8:04 time, especially now that I just find out we were literally like 8 minutes off. In my head, I'm like, 8 minutes. Where could we have made that up? One less nature
potty
break.
Stop there.
Although mine are pretty quick, so that wouldn't have been the full 8 minutes.
You did great.
So perfect. Oh, I know how. Every light is green.
Yeah.
That's how.
That's impossible. Yeah. So yeah, if you do these brevets in less urban areas, you won't have as many traffic signals that stop us. I mean, if you went to the bathroom twice. I went to the bathroom once, but that's only because I bombed down the descent and got down to the bottom of the descent, did my little wee, and by that time you were coming by. So I mean, I you know, obviously for a guy it's so much easier to go out in the bush as
And
for a woman.
My second stop was actually timed into the controlled, the mandatory
We had to
checkpoint
go to the
anyway. So
we had to go to that control.
So I guess really what it comes down to is I gotta train more and maybe get a little faster, and then I'd be able to trade pools with George in that windy tunnel.
Yeah, there was 40-ish miles that I could have used your help pulling.
Yeah,
And
I think
I
if
mean,
I
all
had
we
been
needed-
able to pick up a little more weight from the team there, we definitely could trim.
Yeah, if
8
we look
minutes.
at it and say, okay, if over those 40-ish miles, we were half a mile per hour faster because I had your help to trade pulls, we might have done it. But, and for those other folks, so the reason why Thank you so much. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So the real reason why I wanted to get 804 on this brevet was because the rest of this calendar, the rest of this series is going to have a ridiculous amount of climbing. So there's just no way on the 300K and 400K that we're going to be able to get the R60 time frame because I mean it's just going to have a lot of climbing over the next couple. Last year, the preparation for PVP, they didn't have that much climbing because PVP doesn't have that much climbing. Paris, Brest, Paris, PVP. So they had a lot less climbing on that event because of that. In the series because of that. So, yeah, we missed it. No big deal. And I missed it last year because of the huge storm that came through. It's like, how many years have I done the 200K in San Diego with storms and flooding and stuff? But I got the R60 on the rest of the 3 events, the 300K, 400K, and 600K. So, anyway, I think that's all, right?
That's all. I just, since I put in such a hard day yesterday, I don't feel guilty at all about
Sorry, you've had to get us.
Spending today just kind of out for a nice, fun joyride, literally.
Yeah. You know, it's almost impossible for us to shoot outdoors without just noise. But anyway, so garbage truck came by and I had to...
It just sounded like the Grinch from The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Like there is literally a line in there where he's like, the noise from
I also think about that
Whoville.
Seinfeld episode where that, I don't know, he's a Russian guy or something, and Elaine has got some... you know, like the first generations of those, not Blackberries, what was the other one that used to, anyway, and it's just gives alerts and chimes, like we're used to that noise now, but yeah, he was just totally freaking out. What is that noise? And he throws out this planner out the window, this digital planner. But anyway, yeah, I've become very cantankerous when it comes to noise lately. Like in our local pool, in our complex, there's a pool pretty close to us. So the kids, during the summer months,
I know. I mean,
I'm such a grouch.
Even if it's an essential service like trash pickup.
Yeah, I give the trash man the side eye. All right. Anyway, please like and subscribe, and we will see you up the road.